Hello and welcome to the Room of Randomness. Well, seeing as how in our last top 5 we talked about the top 5 characters I want in My Hero Ultra Rumble, it only makes sense to talk about the other game in our weekly superhero stream shenanigans, Marvel Rivals!
While a few hero shooters have come out to try and topple Overwatch over the years, Marvel Rivals seems to be the first one actually succeeding at it. Not just because it uses iconic characters, but because it actually has a really solid and fun gameplay.
So today we're counting down the top 5 characters I'd like to add into Marvel Rivals. Although I'm going to go a bit hard mode here by adding this rule. No characters that would work best as a duelist.
Why would you want to limit yourself like that?
Okay, so for those who don't know, the characters in this game are split up into 3 classes. Duelists, aka the damage dealers, Vanguards, aka the tanks, and Strategists, aka the healers. At the time of this video's release, there are currently more duelists in this game than Vanguards and Strategists combined.
Honestly, that explains why team comps tend to be trash. Can't blame randos online who just want to play their favorite character.
Exactly. With the rules set, let's get started. Drax the Destroyer.
Seeing as how the game already has Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, and Mantis, it just makes sense to add the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And honestly, the only reason Drax isn't sharing this slot with Gamora is because I feel like she would work best as a duelist. Not to mention it'd be difficult to differentiate her gameplay-wise from Magic.
And while Drax could also technically work as a duelist, his larger physique and tough exterior make him a bit better suited as a Vanguard.
Mystique.
How exactly would she work? Isn't her whole deal more espionage and subterfuge?
That's why I think she should be a strategist, though admittedly less in the healer sense and more in the actual meaning of the term, using strategy to sneak in with enemy teams and take them out from within.
So what you're saying is you want her to be the spy from Team Fortress 2.
Essentially. Modok.
I mean, come on! He's the mechanized organism designed only for killing. Quite frankly, I'm surprised he isn't already in a shooter game like this.
With a vast array of weaponry only held back by a slow, large frame, it makes perfect sense to make him a Vanguard.
Plus, he's bound to look better here than in the MCU.
He's a giant floating head with little baby arms and legs poking out. A team of the best CG artists with all the time and money in the world couldn't make it not look dumb. Moon Girl.
No Devil Dinosaur?
Look, I get that they're a team, but Devil has the Ridley problem of being too big for normal gameplay. Yes, I know Smash Ultimate remedied this, but my point still stands.
Fair enough, I guess.
As for Lunella herself, I'll admit all my knowledge of this character comes from the animated series, but her focus on gadgets that allow for unique problem solving, as opposed to straight up combat, make me think that she'd be a great strategist.
Yeah, there's no reason to think she doesn't have some healing gadgets on her.
And while he may be too big for moment-to-moment gameplay, you absolutely could still incorporate Devil Dino into her ultimate. Before we get to number 1, some honorable mentions. First off, Miles Morales. In addition to being best as a duelist, I do feel like it'd be difficult to incorporate him without making him too similar to Peter.
Not necessarily. You could have Miles focus more on fighting using his Venom powers rather than his web shooters.
Fair enough. Though, speaking of characters that might be too similar to others, She-Hulk. I just feel like making her a Vanguard would make it hard to differentiate her from her cousin.
She could work well as a duelist, though, but that still disqualifies her from this list.
And speaking of fourth wall breakers, the pool's Dead and Gwen.
Is your entire honorable mentions list just characters that you want, but would work best as duelists?
No, my last one is a Vanguard. It's just a pipe dream. All Might. As I mentioned in the Ultra Rumble video, the aforementioned Deadpool did have a brief crossover with Japan's #1 hero.
Not to mention, that Marvel has released a few promo artworks of My Hero characters.
Once again, if a guest character were to happen, All Might would be the obvious pick. Baymax.
But isn't Baymax a Disney character? I mean, technically they're all Disney characters, but you see what I'm getting at.
Well, as a lot of people tend to forget, Big Hero 6 was the first and, at time of writing, only Disney movie based on a Marvel comic book. They follow the comic about as closely as any other source material, but still. But the main reason Baymax is my number one is because he can work as either a strategist or a vanguard. However, you do have a point.
Of course I do. What point is that?
We'll likely never get the Disney version in this game, but the original is still possible as a vanguard. Marvel Rivals has never let obscurity stop them from adding characters into this game. Hell, the main host is Galacta. I'm willing to bet most of you didn't know Galactus had a daughter before this game.
Well, regardless of which version they use, I hope they still hire Scott Adsit to voice him. He has stated in interviews that he wants to be the voice of the character.
That would be great. As always, feel free to share your picks, duelists or no, in the comments. I'm the Review Reviewer, this has been the Room of Randomness.